In today's lesson, we're going to hear about how the people of God were taken away from the city of Jerusalem by the Babylonians, and then how later some of them returned. This is the city of Jerusalem. This is the wall around the city. And this is the temple to God. And these are the people of God. They knew that God was in the temple. But they also thought that that was the only place where you could pray to God. People thought that the city wall would protect them from everything. Then came the Assyrians, and they attacked the city. It was a terrible time. People fought, and some starved to death. Finally, the Assyrians went away. But then the Babylonians came, and they did not go away. Their king wanted the city of Jerusalem for himself. They broke down the city walls, and they burned the temple. They took many of the people away. Only a few stayed. The soldiers marched the people away from Jerusalem. And as they looked back, they had to wonder if they would ever see it again. The people were in exile. They could not go home. They hung up their harps on the weeping willow trees and sang sad songs. They dreamed of Jerusalem and the temple, but they could not go back. They would face towards Jerusalem when they prayed. But slowly, God's people began to understand that God was in this place too. God's presence came to them as they gathered and read the scriptures and prayed. The king of Babylon allowed many of God's people to work. They set up little stores, and some worked for the king. It was a shock when the king of Persia came with his army and took Babylon for himself. This new king began to let some of the people go back to Jerusalem. Some went with Ezra. And they began to rebuild the temple. More were allowed to go back. They went with Nehemiah. They rebuilt the walls around the city. Then the people of God were no longer in exile. But you know what? Not all of them went back. Now they knew that God was in the strange and foreign land too. Some stayed because God was there too. Now, I wonder, what part of the story do you like best? I wonder what part is most important. I wonder what the people of God thought about God when they were taken away. I wonder where God is in this story.